4. Vietnam and China. 1. Present the Chinese domination of Vietnam. The history of Vietnam associated to the resistance wars against Northern Invaders or Chinese Invaders. Vietnam underwent 1,000 years of domination of China with 12 Chinese Dynasty, and they caused Vietnamese a lot of misery such as robbery, rape, forced men into military service, destroyed villages, houses, religious works, and assimilated Vietnamese people by forcing Vietnam learn Chinese language, customs and writing. 2. Make the introduction of following people, emphasize their achievement: Tran Hung Dao, Quang Trung, Thuong Kiet, Ngo Quyen. Tran Hung Dao. Tran Hung Dao, 1226–1300, he was a great general of Tran Dynasty. He was a tealented commander leading Vietnamese army defeated Mogolian invader 3 times. At that time, Mogolian Empire had the most powerful army in the world. They invaded and conquered around 20 countries from Asia to Europe such as China, Myanmar, Iran, Russia, Hungary, Poland. His famous strategy called empty garden, empty house. When Mongolian invaders entered Tang Long capital, everything was empty, they didn't rob anything, time passed and they ran out of food, the troop was exhausted and lost the fighting spirit. On that occasion, Tran Hung Dao led his troops to attack enemy and won the war. His famous statement, "The army is precious in its elite, not in its numbers." Quang Trung. King Quang Trung, 1753–1792, he was a talented general and leader of Tay Son uprising. He has never failed in his battle and he led Tay Son army to defeat Lord Ngo Quyen and Lord Tran to united Vietnam. The most outstanding achievement is defeating 290,000 Qing troops just in 5 days to liberate Tang Long citadel. Thuong Kiet. Thuong Kiet, 1019–1105, he was a talented general of Lai Dynasty. He led Vietnamese army defeating Song invaders and Kampa army. The most prominent achievement is taking troops into China to defeat Song army and prevented they invading Vietnam. Ngo Quyen. King Ngo Quyen, 898–944, he was a talented general and a clever king of Vietnam in 10th century. The most outstanding achievement is defeating the southern Han troops on the Bac Dang River. This victory expressed his talented strategy. He used pointed ironwood stakes to set into the bottom of Bac Dang River. Then, he decoyed the warships of the enemy heading forward when tide rose and waited until tide went out. The enemy's warships got stuck and punctured. After that he led his troops to attack the enemy and won the battle. 3. Why did China repeatedly invade Vietnam? Because Vietnam has the extremely important geopolitical position on the world map. Vietnam has more than 3,000 kilometers of coastline and borders with East Sea, Pacific Ocean. Vietnam is on the busiest marine route in the world. If China controls Vietnam, it controls ships, trade from Asia to Europe and from Asia to America. 4. When did Mongolia invade Vietnam, and why was it defeated? Mongolia invaded Vietnam in 3 times in 1258, 1284, and 1287. At that time, Mogolian Empire had the most powerful army in the world. They invaded and conquered around 20 countries from Asia to Europe such as China, Myanmar, Iran, Russia, Hungary, Poland. Tran Hung Dao had famous strategy called empty garden, empty house. When Mongolian invaders entered Tang Long capital, everything was empty, they didn't rob anything, time passed and they ran out of food, the troop was exhausted and lost the fighting spirit. On that occasion, Tran Hung Dao led his troops to attack enemy and won the war. 5. What was the latest war between Vietnam and China, Border War 1979? What were reasons for the war? China wanted to draw Vietnam to become their ally against Soviet Union, but they failed. Then Vietnam signed an agreement of economy and defense with Soviet Union, and that thing made China felt threatened, resulting in China attacked Vietnam in revenge. In 1975, China supported and nourished the genocidal Khmer Rouge regime to contain Vietnam because China worried that Vietnam could undermine their influence in Southeast Asia. Khmer Rouge killed more 2 million Cambodians and attacked Vietnam to rob and kill thousands of innocent Vietnamese. Vietnam counterattacked and destroyed the genocidal Khmer Rouge regime. That thing made China became angry, so they decided to attack Vietnam. What was the latest war between Vietnam and China? Border War 1979. On 17 February 1979, China mobilized more than 300,000 troops and 400 tanks to attack 6 northern border province of Vietnam with the purpose teaching Vietnam a lesson, according to Chinese leaders. Due to the strong resistance of Vietnam, and this was an unjust war, so China had to withdraw their troops completely on 16 March 1979 and ended the war. The war happened in 1 month and caused 28,000 dead and wounded people for China and 20,000 for Vietnam. 6. How is the relationship between Vietnam and China nowadays? In 2008, China and Vietnam became the comprehensive strategic partners. In 2024, total Vietnam-China trade turnover was $205 billion. Vietnam became the 6th biggest trading partner of China. In contrast, China became the biggest trading partner of Vietnam in the world. However, the belief between two countries is still low when China has continuously violated Vietnam's territorial sea and captured Vietnamese fishermen. Besides, China always schemed to invade Vietnam's islands on the East Sea.